stage, just help us, please.
Hi everybody, my name is Natalia. I've been a server for going on about 8 years now. And you may see me as just that, a server. But I actually do a lot more for my job than just serve. I've memorized menus, some in other languages. I've learned other languages for my jobs. I've learned about new types of alcohol and cocktails. Like I said, I started when I was pretty young. I was only 17, so I learned a lot since then. I've memorized allergens, and I offer options for other guests. I've cleaned unimaginable amount of biohazards in restrooms and other areas in the building. I've worked while sick, and I've been sexually harassed more times than I can count. Not only that, but I've also protected my other coworkers from being sexually harassed. I'm a skilled worker, and I deserve to be paid as such. I earn my tips because of my knowledge and my ability to be personable. I do enjoy my job, and I'm good at it. I believe that I deserve to be paid in a way that reflects my abilities as a skilled employee. The sub-minimum wage is absolutely below the bare minimum of what we as service workers deserve, and we're all aware of that. It's time that we spread our message farther and let our lawmakers know what we deserve. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here and for your consideration.
Okay.
We're just going to go ahead and read the letter. Dear politicians, one thing that's clear after the election, the Democratic Party needs to do more to address the needs of working people. As service workers, we are people of color, immigrants, and women. We are the ones struggling the most in the current economy, but the voters most often ignored in campaigns and public policies.
We are drowning. We can't afford to live. The cost of groceries has gone up. The cost of gas has gone up. Our rent has gone up. But our wages have not. If Democrats had done more to help us, maybe working people would have voted for them. Trump will only raise costs and make things worse. So you need to act before it's too late. States and the federal government can help raise the minimum wage and end the sub-minimum wage for tipped workers. If you care about protecting workers in vulnerable communities, you must, either during lame duck or upcoming legislative sessions, take action to immediately raise our wages.
You can end the affordability crisis by putting more money in the pockets of working people. Even if you fail, at least we'll see you fighting for our needs and our lives. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your stories. My name is Jane Klebb. I'm a board member of Our Revolution. It's an honor to be here today standing with One Fair Wage. Our Revolution is proud to be a partner in this fight. I'm also the chair of the Nebraska Democratic Party and a candidate to fill the very big shoes of Ken Martin, who heads up the Association of State Democratic Parties. I'm running to be the president of that association. Ken right now serves in that role. That is basically the head of all the state parties. As you know, the Democratic Party is in a moment where we have to reset. We can be in this moment where we can basically go in a corner and cry and point fingers at voters, or we can listen to workers and really realize that we are the ones who've made the mistake. And the answer is not to continue to hand our party over to the vendor and consulting class. The answer is to hand our party over to the working people. The answer is to hand our party over to farmers and ranchers, to servers, to musicians, to the creative class, not the consulting class. We know that farmers and ranchers have same concerns as the concerns that you all brought up here today. They can't afford health insurance. They want to be able to fix their tractor, for example, but big corporations are keeping them from, preventing them from doing that. And so we know that there's a common thread, right, between urban and rural issues. And so when we unite the eaters and the feeders, as Jesse Jackson used to say, when we push back against big corporations, that's when we're actually uniting workers. So I think sometimes the pundit class says, and they have this image of what it means that the Democratic Party has to center the working class. They have this image of a white guy, a white middle class guy. The working class is diverse. It's rural, it's urban, it's suburban. And so we're here today as our revolution. We're here today as members of the Democratic Party to say that we stand with you. We're listening, and we are going to change to make sure that we no longer turn our backs. We are going to center you when we reform our party.
Thank you so much to our Revolution for co-hosting this. I do want to bring up our labor partners, but I think Ron needs to go. So I just wanted to invite up the Midwestern, DNC Midwestern Caucus Chair to say a few words. And then really want to thank our labor partners for being here.
Thank you, Saru. What's up, everybody? My name is Ron Harris. I'm proud to be the chair of the DNC's Midwestern Caucus. I had the honor of meeting Saru back in 2014. I was an organizer working for a small nonprofit, and one of our ambitions was to raise the wages. And partnering with Saru and so many workers, we're actually able to get that done in Minneapolis. We raised the wage at city level to $15 an hour. Right. With tips on top. Before we did that, we were able to also pass a universal paid sick time policy in the city of Minneapolis, where every single worker, regardless of their status, part-time, full-time, temp, had access to bill, earn sick and earn safe time. The reason why I bring those things up is because it wasn't a bunch of smart strategists, policy folks, politicians in the room that got it across the finish line. It was all these stories right here that got it done. So I just want to encourage you and continue to remind you that your stories matter, right? You matter in this broader ecosystem. You matter more than just a pawn to help win elections. You matter because your life has value. And when we make moves to the working class, guess what? Everybody benefits from that. I grew up with a single parent home. My mom lost her job when I was about 3 months old because I got pneumonia, and she worked for a payroll benefits company that administered other people's benefits but didn't have benefits herself. And so when she took off work to take care of me when I got pneumonia and rushed to the hospital, her boss told her, don't come back, because she didn't have paid sick time. And that started a cycle of struggle. And we had folks like One Fair Wage and others rallied around us back then, I think that we could have saved us a lot of heartache. So I'm glad you all are here. I just want to offer you encouragement. The chair of the Midwest Caucus, like James said, we want to center workers' lives and your experiences in the work that we do. Again, not just to win elections, but you all are essential workers. You all are what keeps this economy afloat. So I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your stories. Democrats, you gotta listen, y'all. All right? Thanks so much.
Well, we could never do this without our incredible labor movement and labor union, so I really want to deeply thank both Stuart Applebaum, who was going to be here and then had a last-minute emergency and sent a beautiful statement that I want to read, as well as the president of the Michigan AFL, Ron Beaver. If you could come on up, Ron. Just going to quickly read. It's a long statement, so I'm only going to read a portion of it. But Stuart really has been such a strong champion. And many of you know Stuart Applebaum is the chair of the Labor Caucus for the DNC. The new leadership of the DNC must understand that the only way to win is with grassroots support from working people. They won't get anywhere by supporting any kind of reversal of workers' wage increases in Michigan or anywhere else. The Democratic Party, in order to speak to everyday workers, must not just talk about worker issues, but act on them. That means delivering actual raises for working people who are struggling with the cost of living right now, and ending the tip credit loophole and sub-minimum wages once and for all. We're so grateful to Stuart and everybody in the DNC Labor Caucus, and so grateful to Ron for partnership here in Michigan.
Thank you so much. Stuart actually called me Saturday and told me he was coming to Detroit. So he said, I'm coming in, and this is going to be a great event. And so I was really excited to walk in to see him, but he really, really, really wanted to be here. And Stuart's heart is in this fight, trust me. Every day he's out doing this same kind of battle for workers everywhere. And that's what I came down here. I didn't intend to speak, but what I'm going to tell you is that's why I'm here. This is what we do. My organization represents over 1 million active and retired workers in this state. I came to tell you folks, we got your back. We got your back on this. What's happening is despicable and it's wrong. It is absolutely wrong. I'm going to throw another entity. I know this is to kick our friends down the street on the corner a little bit. I'm a strong Democrat, and I need a kick in the ass once in a while too. There's a big discussion about whether the Democratic Party is the party that represents workers anymore, right? I don't believe it for a second. We are. The other side just runs a line of bullshit and says they are. But all you have to do, and I want to explain where it belongs, is look at what's going on in Lansing. And quite frankly, I thought they were going to take a vote on these bills this afternoon, and I wasn't going to be able to get down here because my ass would be sitting in that gallery looking every one of them in the eye to see how they're going to vote on this stuff. 6 years ago, you folks did the work. You did what you were supposed to do. You did what democracy calls for. You went out, got the votes or got the signatures to get this before the voters of this state, these issues. The dirty bastards that were in office at the time cheated. They lied, they cheated, and over the course of the last 6 months, they have stolen from your pockets. This should have went into effect 6 years ago. This wages should have been raised then, but they cheated. They knew at the time they were cheating, and they did it anyway, and for the last 6 years, you folks have been paid the price. They've been picking your pocket every day. And I ain't heard one damn small business or restaurant owner who now is raising hell saying this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. I didn't hear one word of concern over the last 6 months for the money that was being taken out of your pockets, stolen from them, in my opinion, and the benefits that went along with it, with paid sick leave and others. Every worker deserves to have a chance for a fair shot at a chance to have a decent life. That's what I get up every day for. That's what I get up to do. You deserve to have a fair shot at a chance to have a decent life. They are pushing these bills. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say again, as Democrats, we got to get our act together. We got to speak better. We need to inject how we are and show how we are the party of working people. But don't listen to what the rhetoric the other side's doing. Watch what they're doing. They're over there right now. The first 2 bills introduced in the new Republican majority are bills to gut your wages and paid sick leave. First 2 bills. It's a big deal over there for what the first bills are introduced. And that's what they chose to introduce, was bills to gut your wages. And then they put together, created, out of nowhere, there was no such thing. These are my words, because I don't know what the real title is, and it's BS anyway, but they made up a committee on how to screw workers. Created it out of nowhere, and they held a committee hearing Tuesday, and they held a committee hearing today. And this morning, they voted it out of committee to send these bills to the floor. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I watched that. I didn't go over there because I was in my office, but I watched that committee hearing on my computer. And you were there. And they beat the shit out of you a little bit. But when my government affairs person went in there, it was like they unloaded the guns. They asked unfair personal questions, and then they asked one question, which really upset me. And they said, because he works for the Michigan AFL, okay? He represents me and my organization. They asked him, how many of these workers are your members? And he said, well, pretty much none of them. Now the question that they should have asked is, how many of these workers do you represent? Because the answer to that would have been all of them. Because even in organized labor, we don't just represent our members. We speak for all working people. And that's why I say, we got your back. We're going to be with you every step of the way, whenever it takes through this fight. And this isn't going to, I know if I were in your shoes, February 21st, this was supposed to take effect. And to get to this close to the finish line after all this time, 6 years, you did what you were supposed to do. You took it to the courts, and the courts made a decision. And now for them to pull this bullshit, and again, pull some shenanigans and try and take this away from working people at the last minute is just unconscionable, it's despicable, and it's wrong. So I'm going to tell you this fight isn't going to be over in 2 weeks. It is not going to be over in 2 weeks. We are going to be there, we're going to stand together, we're going to fight together, and we're going to have each other's backs. And workers are going to win, trust me. I'll get to the political question now. This is a big deal. I know that the DNC's in town, and we need to make our voices heard, right? But trust me, we are on the side of good. And we need to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. In my mind, it's as much of a narrative issue as it is an issue around whose side. There's an old labor song, I'm an old dude now, but I grew up in a labor household. There's an old labor song that says, "Which side are you on?" And it just was a refrain that went over and over and over. And it was back when they were fighting to organize and had strikes and whatever, and the bosses would go in with clubs and beat people up. And the refrain was, "Which side are you on?" And all you have to do is look at what they do, not what they say, but what they do to know which side they are on. We are on the side. The Democratic Party is on the side of good. We need to push, just like any other time, we need to push, and keep pushing them to make sure they're the party of workers, that they say they're the party of workers, and they keep demonstrating that they're the party of workers. And we will be good. I'm telling you one last time, we're with you. Do not give up, do not despair. Do not despair, young lady. You will be all right. We will have your back. All together, we're going to win this fight. So thank you so much for having me.
That's right. Which side are you on? And I will say for working people, sometimes it's hard to know because we haven't seen it. And that's why we're so excited about new leadership that will actually take us forward. And so we are now going to hear from 3 of our DNC chair candidates. We're really excited to have you here. We're going in alphabetical order and start with Ken Martin. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. First off, I just want to acknowledge my really, really great friend, Wanda Hamoud back there, who is the national co-chair for the One Fair Wage campaign. Thank you so much for all of her work over many years from the very beginning. And of course, Saru, in Minnesota, we're surrounded all by right-to-work states, right? We're the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, but we first met, of course, when Republicans and even a few Democrats were trying to put forward a tip wage bill. And we've had to beat back attempts in Minnesota to protect workers in that state. So just know, I want to talk to Democrats specifically right now. Because the reality is what Ron just said is absolutely right. It's not just Republicans. Sometimes we have Democrats who are not on the side of workers. My old boss, Paul Wellstone, used to say you should never separate the life you lead from the words you speak. This matters at this moment.
That's right.
Because you can't say as a Democrat that you care about people and then turn your back on this issue. You can't say you care about the dignity of workers and listen to the stories, the moving stories of these workers who are busting their ass, being paid sub-minimum wages, and be okay with it. If our party values workers, like we say we do, we have to stand up proudly. Stand with workers and deliver for workers. Ron, I'm glad you say the Democratic Party is on the side of workers. I want that to be so. I'm the only card-carrying member of a union in this race. I know from firsthand experience. My mom, 15 years old when she had me, raising 4 kids on her own by the time she was 20 years old. We understood poverty. We understood struggle. And I will tell you at the end of the day, my grandfather is not an ambassador. He was a letter carrier. My mom was not a college professor. She was a house cleaner, right? I am a union carpenter out of the building trades. At the end of the day, I know what it means to get up and bust your ass to go to work and build something in this country. And I say this to all of you because the Democrats who are listening to this right now, don't speak out of both sides of your mouth. Don't say one thing and do another. What we expect of you, what everyone in this room expects of Democrats, is that we're going to live our values each and every day. So, let me just say this in closing. We will stand with you. I will stand with you, as I always have stood with workers. I'm proud today to be the only candidate in the race that has union endorsements. I'm sure Ben will get some here too. But the reality is UFCW, Mark Perone is supporting my candidacy, as is Stuart Applebaum, and the retail workers just came out with me. There's a reason unions are standing with me, because they know that I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. I'm on picket lines with workers all throughout this country. More than just being on picket lines, I will always be in solidarity with all of you. And I just want to say to all of you, thank you for sharing your stories. Don't give up. There's always hope, and we've got your back. Thank you so much.
All right, we are going in alphabetical order, so we're going to do Ben Wickler next. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Can we give a round of applause to Saru and to Annalise and Natalia and Indira for sharing your stories and your fight and your struggles, to all the workers in the One Fair Wage movement that are here today. You're at the front lines of the fight for the soul of this country. I'm Ben Wickler. I'm from Wisconsin, which is a cradle of the labor movement, where Republicans targeted working people as the central pillar of their plot to rig this country for a tiny number of the wealthiest people at the top. And what the One Fair Wage movement has experienced, what you've experienced in these fights, represents the broader struggle. It's the 14 million people in the service industry, and it's an entire country where the ultra-rich break the rules, rig the system, smash unions, attack working people, erode the rule of law, and break democracy to ensure that the wealthiest and most powerful can run and control everything. People who look like me and less like the workers in the One Fair Wage movement. People who want to retain control and never listen to the voices of working people. And to do that, they need to stop working people from having power. And if we want to change that, working people need to have power. And that must be the mission of the Democratic Party. That is the work. The fight for working people has always been the soul of the Democratic Party at its best. But the Democratic Party, so many moments, has fallen short of living up to that ideal. And in this moment, when Republicans have divided this country, have propagandized, have lied, they have won votes from working people. They won the majority of votes from people earning less than $50,000 a year across this country for the first time in my lifetime, and in many of our lifetimes in this election. And we know how they did it. They did it by dominating control of media, of new media, of propaganda all over this country, and by constantly demonizing people, dividing people, saying that if you want something, it's someone else's fault that you're not getting it. Their message is saying that trans people are getting something, so the rest of you are not getting what you need. Immigrants are getting something, so the rest of you are not getting what you need. Black people are getting something, so white people are not getting what they need. It's always them. That's the Republican message. And our response has to be about a great big us. It has to be about a we that is grounded in the fight for working people across race and ethnicity, gender and geography, and generation across this country. And the only way we can build that we is by actually showing up for the fight. The only way we win back that trust is by fighting in every corner of this country for one fair wage with tips on top. That has to be where we stand. We need to fight the fight, and we need to show our work. Because just as you said, if we get caught trying in this fight, then people can understand that the other side has a lot of money and has a lot of power, but we cannot give up. We cannot give up when they beat us once. We need to come back again and again and again until we actually win. And when we win, they will try to rip those wins away. And when we fight back against that, we will once again show what is at our core. In Wisconsin, they smashed unions. They suppressed the vote. They targeted young voters and voters of color. They rigged our maps. They changed our campaign finance law. They tried to guarantee that they would never lose. And working people across our state, the union movement in our state, and the Democratic Party in our state, which I've been honored to chair for the last 6 years, we've organized in every zip code, across race and ethnicity, in every community. We've organized online and offline, face-to-face and on picket lines across our state year over year. And I'm the one candidate in the DNC race that has been hand in glove with the union movement, unrigging a state. And we need to unrig this entire country. That is our job, because we could lose this country for a generation or more if we do not meet this moment. But if we meet this moment and build the power of working people with the union movement, with the broader labor movement, to fight for wages that allow people to live their lives, to have freedom and dignity and respect, the decency that every person is owed as their birthright, if we can build that movement, we can not only win elections, we can change lives, which is the only reason why politics matters. It is what happens in workers' lives, in the lives of people who aspire to work, the people who love working people, the people who make up this country and build this country. We are fighting hand in glove with you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your leadership. This Democratic Party needs to be on your side. We are so grateful for the chance to work with you and listen to you and learn from you, and we will show up for you every step of the way. Thank you so much.
And we have Mary Ann Williamson here also, who's running for DNC chair. Thank you for being here.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here. It's wonderful to be here in solidarity, in conversation with one fair wage. I want to do more than have you have higher wages. I want you to have higher expectations of the Democratic Party. Those expectations are needed. You know, Donald Trump is about to be in office. There will be some union busters who are paying millions of dollars to help with his inauguration, and that will be just the beginning. And he will be promulgating a story that is as bad as any in the history of the United States. And starting at the beginning, you know, Thomas Jefferson said, "It is the general tendency of the rich to prey upon the poor." At the Battle of Gettysburg, Abraham Lincoln said that the men who died there, it died so that a nation of the people, by the people, and for the people would not perish from the earth. It's perishing now. We are a government of the corporations, by the corporations, and for the corporations. They use the Republican Party to do their bidding, and as bad as we think it is now, we didn't see nothing yet, which is what's going to start next week. So we have to be loud like Donald Trump is loud. We have to be audacious like Donald Trump is loud and say it like it is. We now have the largest income inequality that we have had in 100 years. We now have a United Corporations of America, and we now have a new feudal system. I'm so happy to see all these young women, and I want to be clear that every woman here knows that if you really want to make this stuff real, somebody contact Joe Biden and tell him you got 4 days to do it. Call the archivist and make sure he publishes the Equal Rights Amendment. Once we publish the Equal Rights Amendment, women will not have to be fighting the way we are. It is not just an economic justice issue, it is a human rights issue. For any young woman in America to be describing your life as you do. And 70% of Americans describe their lives as you do. I was so glad when you, Saru, mentioned more than once, this isn't just about political strategy. This isn't just about winning. This is about the right thing to do. And if I am chair of the DNC, it will never be, well, is the right thing to do the strategic thing to do? We'll do the right thing to do, whether or not it's the strategic thing to do. And people will see that. We need to reclaim the moral voice of the Democratic Party, the prophetic vision of the Democratic Party. And if we're to do that, let me tell you something. What's about to hit us next week, if you think any of the old playbook's going to be enough for that guy with what's coming at us, we have to be as audacious as he is. We have to be as illumined as he claims to be. We have to be as exciting as he is to his people. And when we do, as it has been said here already, we don't have to go out and reach out to voters. They'll come to us because when we do the right thing, they're not stupid. I've run for president twice and I've seen it. The American people are not stupid. And when the Democratic Party is hypocritical, they see it. It's not that they're going to go vote for Republicans, but they just might stay home. They showed us that. And a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump in November They would prefer false hope to no hope at all. If I'm chair of the DNC, and if he's chair of the DNC also, I'll tell you, there will be hope again for the American people. There will be hope again for the American worker. We're not going to just talk it. And if we do anything other than walk it, I hope that everybody here will hold us to account and call us for our bullshit and bullshit. Thank you very, very much.
Wow, well, I feel like today I have more hope than I have had in a long time, because it's been many, many decades of feeling left out, sold behind, or what's the word? Left behind, sold out. I just want to share one story in closing. It's been 20 years of trying to tell the Democratic Party, work with us. We have 14 million workers. They can turn out to vote if you prioritize their needs, if you work with us to put wages on the ballot, if you work with us to raise wages. And the answer over and over again was no, no. The polling doesn't show it. No, I'm sorry, these are unlikely voters. No. And what happened? Mariah Ross is here from Ohio, came in from Cleveland. She collected 620,000 signatures to put one fair wage, $15 on the ballot in Ohio. I was out there with her collecting signatures. Two guys in MAGA hats walked up to me and said, what is this? We said 15, and for everybody, they said, oh yeah, we'll sign that. I thought they were gonna beat me up. They signed our petition, and then they told me, you know why we don't have 15? It's because of those Democrats. And I tell that story everywhere I go, and people say, oh, they're so dumb, they're so misled. And I say, no, they're not misled. They're right. It's their lived experience. And so let's change their lived experience, please, together. Thank you so much. I do want to say one thing we're going to do is a group photo here, and we're actually going to take our signs and do a group photo in front of the DNC gathering at the West End. So people would walk over with us with the signs. We'd love to have you. We're definitely going to do a group photo. We have a Getty photographer here. If you'd like to come up to the front and be part of the group photo, win with workers, we really appreciate it.
Come on up, everybody. Don't be shy. Oh. Stand with workers. Win with workers. Stand with workers. Come on up.